jump right in here and get started. We have an amazing guest presenter today, Mr. Greg Hillman. I'll be introducing in just a moment, but before we do that, I will share my screen and do just a couple of housekeeping items before we get started. And let me share my screen. And this meeting is not financial or legal advice. It's simply professional sharing what we do. And we have some amazing content today around mineral rights by Greg Hillman. Greg has a substantial background in oil and mineral rights, right, for real estate. And also he's in the apartment space as well. So that's what we'll be hearing about tonight. You'll be able to ask questions. We'll answer questions as we can throughout and at the later portion of this meeting. Your hosts are Dr. Sanjeev and Nikki Mall and Asif Kumar and myself. We're all based out of the DFW area. And we host these meetings simply to share what we're doing and help others hopefully get into the apartment investing space. And so that's what we do. The apartment syndications, we purchase and operate apartments. And so let's move right on into our amazing guest speaker, Greg Hillman. As I mentioned, Greg has extensive knowledge into the mineral rights in the oil and petroleum background, as well as apartment investing. And this is a real estate related subject. So Greg, go ahead and tell us a little more about yourself and why you're in this space.
Well, thanks, Herb. I appreciate it. Thanks for inviting me on. I've been in the oil and gas space for, probably about 35 years, putting together drilling programs and 3D seismic, just everything involved in the industry. And then here at Brad Sumrock's AIM NatCon, I was actually standing in line with with somebody behind me, what's the name here? And he made a comment that he had bought a property over in New Mexico, and that was right in the where the Permian Basin is. And for those of you that aren't familiar with that area, that's Midland, Odessa, over, and that place is just on fire right now. I don't mean literally, but it's on fire with a lot of activity, and especially with I know you've all have been to the gas pump here the last few days, and and the price of oil is going up, and it'll probably keep doing that. Please don't shoot me. I have nothing to do with that. Just so you know.
Right.
Let me get to that. Yeah, I was talking to a syndicator, and we were standing in line, and he made a comment that he bought a property over New Mexico. It's just right in the middle of Permian Basin, everything going on. I'm going, wow. I will bet you're just happy you got the mineral rights. He said, the what? I said, the mineral rights. He said, oh, I didn't know those came with it. Or I thought those came with it. I'm going, no, not quite. And he didn't know for sure that he did, but he thanked me for letting him know about that. And the mineral rights, they represent the ownership to the right of any underground resource, including metals, ores, oil and gas, any other mineable rocks that are present on the property. And they can be very valuable, especially in areas of high production, such as the Permian Basin, the Bakken Shale up in North Dakota, the Oklahoma Scoop and Stack up in the northern Oklahoma is another hot area. And typically folks in those areas, what usually happens is they'll sell the surface rights, but to hang on to the mineral. That's what usually happens. And
Greg, so if I'm understanding you right, for everyone on the call, the mineral rights can be bought and sold separate from the real estate, from the surface, right?
exactly. And you're spot on, Herb. Under the Texas law, land ownership includes two distinct set of rights or estates: surface estate and mineral estate. Initially, those estates are owned by the same person, and they may continue to be owned by the same person. However, in many areas of Texas, especially where there's been extensive development, oil and gas, it's common for the mineral estate and the surface estate to be owned by separate people. And you got to do your homework, find out. We'll answer that question Charles just asked at the end. So how do you know if you got the mineral? Or do you want to stop and answer it now, Herb?
Sure, go ahead. I think Charles must have some experience with mineral rights in Oklahoma. He said there's no property tax on mineral rights in Oklahoma. Is that correct,
Right.
Charles? Go ahead and
He's right. Once you own minerals, you own them.
That's good information.
You
So there's
own,
no continuing ongoing cost if you never exercise the extraction of oil or mineral, correct?
no, exactly right. Two things you hope for: the price to go, price to go north, and a very good company come in and drill wells on the acreage that you own the minerals for, such as Continental, EOG, any companies like that. And in a
Greg, if I remember right, you told me that they can drill a directional boring. They can go under your property from some miles away. Is that right?
yeah, now thanks for bringing that up, because that was what spawned the whole conversation between the real estate syndicator and myself. He said, "Oh, what I own is right in town. You can't drill there." I'm going, "No, you're right. You can't drill there." But with the technology we've got today, we've been a partner with Continental and EOG on several wells that have 3-mile laterals. Think about that, 3-mile legs. That's just amazing. So the surface location could be 2.5 miles out of town, and they could literally drill right under your multifamily. And if you don't own a mineral right, you ain't going to be happy. I don't know how else to say it other than say it that way.
Right. They'll be reaping the profits, right? If they
you don't
hit
own the
oil.
mineral, that's different than owning the surface. You may own the surface, that does not entitle you to the minerals, as a lot of folks aren't aware of. And to find out if you or somebody else owns the minerals, you need to search for the mineral rights records. And those of you on the call that have bought a lot of real estate, I'm sure you're very savvy about that. That if the owner does not explicitly limit the transfer of ownership to surface only, or explicitly retain the minerals when selling the surface, the mineral estate he owns automatically is included in the sale. Now, make sure and get a good title attorney, good landman, somebody that really knows what's going on, so they can find out exactly who owns the mineral before you sign the agreement.
Greg, could you talk a little more about how you find out, like where would you go to find out who owns the mineral rights and all that? for our audience?
You could, a couple different things you can do. I've got a couple notes here. There are several companies around that buy and sell minerals. I would
Okay.
not, I would not go there. What I would do is contact a landman. Landman is the guy that goes out and negotiates the mineral owner to lease the land
Okay.
to him to drill the well.
Oh, so
That's,
there's actually a service that you could lease your mineral rights to. Is that, am I hearing you correctly?
yeah, the landman goes out, like, let's say you got a well, let's say you own the minerals in a Permian Basin or wherever, and company decide they want to drill a well there. So probably the next thing you're going to hear is, and they'll be knocking on your door or calling you or sending you a nice little letter. That letter says, you know, we're going to offer you this, and we want to drill on your land, and they may put a draft in that letter. Yeah. Do not do anything until you talk to somebody that's highly qualified, that knows the area, knows what the minerals are worth before you do anything. Absolutely do not want to. You do not want to do that. A mineral rights attorney will find out exactly what you need to know. Pretty much any state. Landman's good, but a mineral rights attorney will go back and be able to run that chain of title all the way back. And when, as a side note, when you drill a well, Herb, we have to run the title back in the 1800s. We have to run that chain of title back, make sure that that chain of title that ownership was transferred properly to whomever says they own it right now.
Okay.
And
Greg, if I'm hearing you correctly, just to repeat a couple things that you said about the mineral rights, a mineral right attorney is a good place to start to find out if you want to find out who owns the mineral rights. And also, I see Charles Lemire put in the comments about the county records office is where their records are kept. Thank you, Charles. Yeah.
Yeah, Hogwarts Library is probably right.
I bet it's a massive information there to go through.
And you won't be in there by yourself in a hot area. There'll be a whole lot of folks looking at that. Landmen are in there trying to search the record.
Okay, and then one more thing, just to repeat something that I heard. You say there's a third party that will go between you and say the oil drilling company, for example, to let you know actually how much it's worth, right? So they don't take more than their worth, or could you explain that?
Yeah, that's the landman is who does the actual negotiation. I would always get a second opinion, look and talk to a third party that really knows the area. And I can tell you in South Texas, there's been more deals done in coffee shops than there has ever been done in an attorney's office, because all the mineral owners have coffee in the morning. And a good landman gets to know everybody down there. Okay. And when they lease to an oil company that does a pretty good job and doesn't tear the surface up and you know does a very good job, they know, and they believe me, they know those prices like the back of their hand.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
Just to repeat something, did you say landman?
Yeah, landman. That's the term.
Got it.
It actually nowadays doesn't have to be a man. It can be a land person is probably a better way to say it.
Of course, right. Okay. Just wanted to confirm I heard you right.
Yeah, and I've certainly known a lot of very sharp women that were land people. They're land persons.
Right, it's the term for, yeah, right.
I mean, that's who basically starts off, and a lot of times, Herb, you'll get like you'll get an offer in the mail. You get a letter in the mail.
Okay,
We want to do this, and we're going to pay you this. And what happens is two things. You get paid what's called what's called bonus money. It's so much per acre,
oh,
whether they even drill a well or not.
okay. What is that, like a lease for long term or what?
No, that's a one-time bonus money. You lease to us, and we'll give you a nice little bonus for doing it.
Okay, plus oil if they drill, right?
No. That's if they doesn't matter.
Okay,
That's just a lease bonus for leasing to us.
okay,
The next part is the royalty percentage, which generally as a rule, keep the math simple, is usually 25%. The mineral owner will retain 25%. The oil company that's paying for drilling the well gets 75%.
right. Okay,
That
yeah,
the 25% obviously doesn't happen until the well gets drilled and they get
right.
oil. But the
Do they
bonus
start?
money, they pay you up front, and whether they drill a well or not.
That's
Now,
interesting.
another nice little caveat is, let's say you go ahead and lease to ABC Oil Company. The term of that leases have a term. The standard term is 3 years. And if they don't drill a well in those 3 years,
Okay,
the lease comes back to you. You own it again. They don't own it anymore.
okay, good. It's good
So
information.
yeah,
Yeah, Greg, have a interesting thing. A few years ago, prospect drilling. I forget what they call it. You're familiar, where they go through and drill holes every couple miles, all directions, and they can.
seismic,
What was that?
seismic.
Okay,
They were shooting seismic is what they were doing.
okay, like prospecting for oil, right?
Yes,
Holes or whatever they a small, right?
they,
Okay. I'm over here in east of Dallas, like Emory, Lake Fork area,
mm-hmm,
and there's some gas and oil wells over here. Not many, but there are some. And a few years back, they went through. There was a company that went through and drilled, like a waffle pattern. I think it was
yeah.
every couple miles or so, and
Well,
drilled for oil.
what they do, they're drilling shallow holes, and they put sensors in them.
Oh, okay,
And then what happens after that is they have another what we call a thumper truck, or a truck that comes along and goes hits the ground like that, and
okay,
sends sound waves
got it.
down there, and it comes back, and then that's recorded on the instrument or the
Yeah,
sensor reader in
seismic
there,
graph. Got it.
and that that pays too. They can do that.
Okay. Is that how they tell if is oil or minerals underground?
That's one way they do it. With the technology we've got today in a well-developed area, uh, putting a drill bit through 2 to 3 miles of oil-soaked shale,
Oh,
yeah, it dry holes and bad wells are pretty rare.
got it. Okay, so Greg, you're saying instead of going straight down and hitting a pocket, they can go horizontal and catch shale, meaning like porous rock that oil
Correct,
can seep out of and be extracted.
correct. And
That's
the
amazing.
and that's where and that's where the fracking comes in.
Oh,
That rock that the oil is in does not have a lot of what's called porosity or pore spaces in it. And when they frack, that's what that literally shatters the earth, not really cracks the earth and opens the earth, then shatters the earth, cracks
Yeah,
the earth and opens it up where oil will flow to the wellbore.
got it. That isn't that done with pressure and sand or
Oh
something?
yeah.
Uh,
Yeah, the stages on the well that we're drilling right now, it's about probably $5 to $6 million to frack a well.
oh wow.
Yeah,
Is that a
it's
long
very
period of time, Greg? Or is that a one day?
no. It takes the way they frack a well is that let's say we got a 2 mile leg.
Uh-huh.
They'll go in there about every 250 feet and they'll put a plug and they frack a very small area with a lot of pressure. And it
Okay.
carries that energy way deep in the rock, really penetrates the rock. And then they'll go along and they'll move on another 250 feet and do another stage. And another
Interesting.
stage and another stage till they get the whole leg
Yeah.
or the lateral done.
Greg,
And
I have a question. Is can they do that like under buildings, like under apartments and things, or is that limited?
that's a that is a that's probably a land attorney question.
Okay.
I don't know.
Just curious.
Yeah, I don't know. And obviously sometimes they can, and of course, no, you kind of brought up another thing to mind. As some of you or you may or may not know, the Texas Railroad Commission is who regulates oil production in the state of Texas. Anytime you have a well drilled, number one thing is you have to permit that to the Texas Railroad Commission.
Hmm.
And that's a regulatory, they'll tell you exactly where you can drill and where you can't.
Okay.
So it's highly regulated. So the building question is, I don't know, it's gonna depend on what the railroad commission will let them permit. It's gonna depend on, what a land attorney says.
Right. Okay. Yeah. That's thanks for letting us know. At least we know where to start searching anyway, one if we have real estate or are looking to purchase real estate.
Nowadays, Herb, there's mineral management software out there that has
Oh,
hundreds of county records digitized and made
oh,
available, and they're always up to date. And so, depending on the results of the research, um, you may find you might spend anywhere from $200 an acre to obscene dollars an acre. I've got
okay.
a partner. I have a partner that owns minerals in the
Okay.
Permian Basin.
Hmm.
He turned down an offer for $150,000 an acre for his minerals.
Oh wow.
Turned it down.
That sounds like a lot.
Oh, yeah, that's way. Yeah, That's not the normal figure at all. And he turned it down, and he just told me. He said when I talked to him, he said, "Well, Greg, oil's going up." That was
Yeah.
when oil was about 75. So he's a pretty sharp guy, to say the least.
Greg, that's a lot of
Oh,
175,000 an acre,
yeah.
right? So I guess it depends where your land is located to the value, right?
Where it's located, exactly. Location, like real estate. Location.
Yeah.
If it's right in a hot area where there's some phenomenal wells being drilled, you can bet. You can bet. I was fortunate enough to be able to buy in about 4 acres over in the Permian Basin.
Oh,
The company here bought some, and I was able to buy some of that. And haven't started drilling out there yet, but EOG has got it all leased. EOG is, in case you're not familiar with them, they're a big board company, New York Stock Exchange company, and they're very well funded to say the least, and they know how to find oil.
wow, that's
So
amazing. Yeah,
And
thanks for that information.
yeah,
That's
I've not seen the mineral management software that's available yet because I don't have a reason to be using it because I don't do the mineral side of this business. I'm in the drilling side. So when we partner up with Continental or EOG or any company like that, that's already been done that's all done by them. We don't touch that part of it.
Oh, Greg, did you say they have mineral management software that they
Yep.
use?
Yes,
Okay.
they do. And I saw that this morning and I meant to try to dig up a little bit of that. Let me see here let's see if I can just dig up something real quick.
Yeah, I bet that's very specific software. Probably not many people know about or even use.
Well, you really wouldn't. Oh man, there we go. Well, Embarrass has got it. There's wow, I didn't know that. There's companies that have certified mineral managers. I didn't know that. There we go, found it. Mineral management, oil and gas, royalty software. Just found one of them.
Do you think that's a software that somebody could purchase and use if they, wanted to or needed it?
Yeah, or get a hold of like this company is Valor Mineral Management, and they make that software. And
Okay.
yeah, that'd be where I would start, and then give those folks a call and say, "Hey, can you do a mineral search for me?" There's got to be several companies out there that do that, and let me make a note.
Greg, did you say you had some information you wanted to share that you had on a Google sheet or something? Resources before we started?
Yeah, I do. I've got some links that have some information on our website.
Okay.
It has let me see if I can figure out how to get this done.
Okay.
Okay, got that.
While Greg is working on that, are there any questions about mineral rights and real estate from anyone here? Sanjeev, Greg, Asif?
I have it. I have
Yeah.
a question.
Go
So
ahead.
in mineral in drilling 1990s, late 1990s, a lot of people invested on drilling and they lost the money because the lot of drilling is based on the cost of the USA drilling versus the overseas drilling, right? And what I heard that $80 per barrel, I think that's the break even. If it is less than that, the US drill normally is not feasible. Is it true?
Yeah, break even cost is always the number one. The break even cost and how many barrels of reserve are in the well. That's the two major things. Because if you're drilling and let's say it's a $10 million well, and you only got maybe 100,000 barrels of recoverable reserve there, obviously that ain't going to make it. But
Right.
good companies like the bigger companies we deal with, EOG, Continental, they already know before they drill a well. They got a pretty good idea. They got a whole floor of engineers that they pay well to give them a good idea before they put a bit in the ground what the reserves they'll have. Again, that's another benefit of working with a larger company.
How long have you been doing this?
Now say that to me again, please.
How long have you been doing this?
I would tell you before they had cell phones, 1988.
Okay. Before they have cell phones, okay.
Before they had cell phones.
That's 2 or 3 decades, right?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, that's good.
I didn't run the math on that. That's what, 35 years, I guess,
Yeah, yeah, I think so.
like that. I can't find that dang. Well, Herb, I'm gonna have to send you those URLs because evidently I messed up and didn't save them.
Buddy, I'll put them out in the next email reminder. I'll attach whatever you send to me. That way anyone has the information you're talking about.
Yeah, like fact, I can even send you some things on a doing a 1031 exchange because a few minerals can be used in a 1031 exchange, by the way, or vice versa.
Oh, like for investing?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. And there's I'll send you the links and you can send that out.
Okay.
Anyway,
That's great. Well, Greg, that was some very great information that you shared with us today about how to find out whether you own the mineral rights on your real estate or not, and to find out who does, even before you purchase property, to find out if the mineral rights come with the sale, right?
There's
So,
really only one never in oil and gas. Never sell your minerals.
okay,
You can lease them. Leases the lease will expire, but never never.
right. It could be, yeah, Greg, to repeat what you said, the mineral rights can be sold or kept separate from the real
Yep,
estate.
absolutely.
Okay.
Yep.
Right, so that's all a negotiation with your buyer or seller, right, on the real
Well,
estate.
yeah, that's another
Good.
that's another negotiation piece right there. Find out if the minerals come with it.
Mhm.
You know, it's in a property deed. Again, you can conduct a pretty thorough inspection of the deed to know if it includes mineral conveyances. If
Mhm.
it says mineral conveyance or reservations. Reservations mean somebody else owns the minerals. The mineral conveyance indicates the mineral rights are transferred to you as part of the sale.
Okay, Greg, you said mineral conveyance
Yes,
and mineral, what was the other term?
a mineral reservation
Okay,
signifies that the former owner still owns the mineral rights even after selling you the property, the surface rights.
got
In
it.
other words, it doesn't come with the deal unless you do your homework. Just make sure.
All righty, thanks for that information.
You know, some folks, they think that the minerals come when you buy it. When I'm buying a property, I'm getting the minerals. Not every time.
Maybe not.
Yeah,
Okay,
maybe not.
it's where you are. It could be a valuable asset, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. All righty. Well,
Now,
thank you so much for sharing. And anyone else want to post questions or come off mute and ask your question? If you have any questions related to mineral rights and real estate.
Charles just brought up a great point. The minerals can be fractionalized. In other words, let's say family had 10 children. They could be split up 10 different ways. In fact, the minerals we just bought in the Permian last year, it was a brother and sister, and that it was split in half, of course. And the sister found out how much the brother got paid for selling the minerals. So she gave us a call and said, "Hey, I own the other half of this. Are you interested?" Yes. It wasn't it wasn't a deal of the week, but it was reasonable. If you had to go rebuy those minerals again today, you wouldn't like it. The cost per acre would be substantial.
All righty, that's very good information, Greg. Thanks for jumping on the show with us today. And I'm going to go ahead and end the live stream. And if there's any other questions, go ahead. If not, we'll wrap it up for today.
Hi, Troy.
All righty, well, hope you all have a great night. And thanks for informing us of all this, Greg. Very
Thanks.
informative.
Thanks for having me, Herb. I enjoyed the heck out of it and talking about my favorite subject.